If January is already feeling heavy for you, if you are tired of trying to feel hopeful, or if you're sitting there thinking, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get on board with this new year? Know that January can be really hard for stepmoms. And there's a really good reason that no one talks about. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we are into the new year now, and I'm so excited about this year. I've been seeing it everywhere, right? Instagram stories filled with vision boards, TikToks about new year, new you, all the energy. Everyone is sharing their word of the year, their resolutions, their big plans for transformation. But last week, I was actually knee deep in the middle of pulling together a 2025 recap reel, which I know you probably saw lots of around Instagram. And I realized I just didn't want to. It didn't feel right. It wasn't that 2025 was a bad year. Actually, it was a fantastic year. It was one of my best years yet. I am almost halfway finished with my master's in clinical mental health counseling and rocking a 4.0. Happy about that. We had our most successful Stepmom Summit to date and did it live for 3 full days. I graduated a ton of new step family coaches from the Step Family Coach Academy, and they're all killing it. And I wrote and spoke about step families in some truly amazing places, CBS, Newsweek, you name it. And I finished out the year by hiring a new team member who I am beyond excited about working with. But pulling it all together in a little package for social media felt really weird. And I think if I'm being honest, it's because I don't totally buy into the whole new year, new you business, right? I appreciate when the calendar flips over to January 1. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I did do a vision board for 2026. I did one for 2025 also, and I set my goals, and I can't wait for everything that's coming this year. But as stepmoms, it's also really normal that you might be feeling a whole lot of nothing right about now, or worse. The holiday season may have made you feel more like you survived than like you want to celebrate or get into any kind of, fresh start for the year. You may be starting exhausted from the holiday season. Totally get it. From the chaos, the blended family dynamics, whatever. And here's what I've noticed every single January in my DMs, in my coaching calls, inside the step family circle, stepmoms are struggling. And it's not because they're lazy or don't want to set resolutions. It's not because they don't care. It's because January, with all of this fresh start energy and clean slate promises, it is built for a family structure that doesn't look like yours, doesn't look like ours, right, as stepmoms. So I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about why that is. I want to name what's really happening. And I want to give you permission to stop trying so hard, to feel hopeful, to shove that, round peg into a square hole or whatever about a month and a process that was not designed with you, with us in mind. So let's dive in, right? January assumes a few things. It assumes you can start with a clean slate, right? It assumes everyone in your household is on the same page about your goals and priorities. It assumes that you have emotional stability and a shared foundation to build from. Sounds nice, right? But step families, we do not operate that way. You cannot have a fresh start when you are still dealing with the issues that you had from last year's custody schedule, last year's high conflict co-parenting dynamic, last year's unresolved resentments. You cannot set shared family goals when half the people in your house don't see you as an authority figure. And you definitely can't feel emotionally stable when the holidays have just exposed every fracture line in your blended family, right? Holidays can be really hard. And What nobody tells you when you become a stepmom is the holidays are not necessarily a time like it is for most families where it brings you together and heals old wounds. They actually expose them. So all of that to say, you may be coming into the new year totally exhausted. I was talking to some clients this week, and over the holidays, they had an absolute marathon of holiday activities for like 5, 6 kids, I think, taking a passel of them to Disney for New Year's. They are exhausted and they are barely hanging on. And it's the first week of the new year. And all of this stuff in society is telling them, fresh start, new year, new you. They're exhausted. Does that ring a bell with you? Because it definitely does with me, right? Maybe the kids were distant with you over the holidays. Maybe New Year's Eve felt lonely because your partner was on the phone with their ex managing logistics. Maybe you spent the entire break feeling like a guest in your own home, like you were playing at the holidays. And now that January is rolling around, everyone you see online is posting about gratitude this and goal setting that, and you are just tired. I get you. And so here's what I want you to really remember. January and this fresh start business is built for nuclear families and individual goals. It is not built for layered relationships. It is not built for step families. It is not you. It is this system that you're living in, right? So there are a few things we should talk about that can make this worse. I feel like I'm not painting a pretty picture here, right? But it's not just that January is hard. It's that the messaging around January actually is working against you. New year, new you. This is your year to level up. Commit to being your best self, right? All the things we hear in January. It puts a lot of pressure on women in general. That's the topic for a whole separate podcast. But for stepmoms, it's even worse, right? And for stepmoms, that message gets internalized. If I just try harder, if I just communicate better, if I'm calmer, if I'm more patient, more understanding, I can make this work. But here's the thing, the advice out there, you're hearing that in the echo chamber of society, that's all designed for first families. It assumes a shared authority between the parents. It assumes shared history between all the adults and kids. It assumes that everyone automatically feels like they belong. And guess what? That is not the case with stepfamilies. And that advice doesn't work in a stepfamily context. And then you, as a stepmom, are left blaming yourself for not trying hard enough. Girl, no. Here's the thing. As a stepmom, you don't need to try harder. You do not need more effort. You need more support and clearer roles. You are not failing because you didn't follow through on some resolution to be more positive or let things go. I mean, come on, right? Let's clarify also. You're not failing at all. If you are listening to me right now, if you are watching me right now, you are not failing. And I want you to hear that very loudly and very clearly. What you might be doing is looking for resources. You might be looking for help. What you may be is struggling, but you're not failing. If you're struggling, if you're having a hard time this January, it is because the system you're operating in has not changed. And no amount of vision boards or affirmations is going to fix that. They're not going to fix a structural problem, which is what you're dealing with right now. All right, so let me walk you through a pattern that I see every year. I'm going to go slow here because I want you to really feel if this resonates. So it starts with January intentions, right? How many years have you said to yourself, this year I'm going to speak up more? This year, I'm going to try less. This year, I'm going to finally set some boundaries. Any of that sound familiar? You mean it when you say those things, right? You really do. So you start making some changes. You try to have that conversation with your partner. You try to set a boundary with the stepkids or with the ex. And what happens, right? Confusion, pushback, maybe even more conflict. Maybe your partner doesn't understand why you're suddenly making everything a big deal. The kids resist. You are feeling guilty because you're rocking the boat. And then your self-doubt starts creeping in. Maybe I am too harsh about all this. Maybe I should have just let it go. maybe I'm the problem. By late January, early February, you are emotionally crashed. The hope you had at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year, gone. And you're right back where you started, except now you also feel like a failure. Did you know that by the third week of January, something like 75% of people have given up on their resolutions? All right, I don't actually know if that's the right number. Y'all know if you've listened to me for a while, you know that I really like to use research and evidence-based numbers. I don't know if that number is accurate. I do know I heard it somewhere and I feel like it's true, right? It sounds right, doesn't it? But whatever that number is, when that is a pattern year after year, what does that do to you? You really do feel like a failure and you're starting the year off feeling like a failure. It's not because you didn't follow through. It's not because you didn't do something. It's because the system you're in didn't change and it's not going to change, right? You can't willpower your way out of a role that is unclearly defined or not defined at all, really. You can't boundary set your way into respect when your authority hasn't been established. And you can't positive think your way through a dynamic that just fundamentally doesn't support you. And I want you to hear this really clearly. That's not on you. And I'm going to repeat that, okay? That is not on you. So I hope you're starting to pick up what I'm putting down here, that it's time for a reframe. So let's reframe this whole thing, okay? Because what's really happening is that as stepmoms, we are being asked to self-regulate without authority. You're being asked to lead without a clear role. You're being asked to care really deeply, maybe to even love these stepkids without clarity. Think about that for a second. You're supposed to manage your emotions if kids are being disrespectful, but you don't have the authority to enforce consequences. And that is a key thing in stepfamily research and all of the guidance I provide to my clients is that as a step parent, you shouldn't be enforcing consequences. That is your partner's job. But it's a really hard thing to reconcile that you are supposed to manage your emotions when the kids are disrespectful. But as a step parent, you can't really step in and do anything about it. It's got to be your partner, right? You're supposed to support your partner in their parenting, but you don't always get an equal voice in decisions. You are asked to love these kids like your own, and that's what society tells us to do. But then everyone reminds you that you're not their mom. So, how is all that supposed to work? I want to repeat something I said a minute ago because I think I really need you to hear it today. And that is you are not failing at step family life. The problem is not you. You are operating inside a system that was never designed to support you. Let that land for a minute. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not doing it wrong. You are unsupported. Most stepmoms out there are unsupported. And until the people around you, your partner, the kids, maybe even the ex, understand that your role needs definition, clarity, and yes, backing. Now, I know you're like, the ex is not going to back me. That may be true, right? That may be true, but your partner will, and your partner should. So until those things are understood, guess what? January motivation ain't gonna fix things. So, okay, we have established that January energy is not the answer. So, what do you do instead? Let me start with what not to do. Don't make big ultimatums. Don't try to overhaul the house rules. Don't try to prove your worth. Please, please do not force a fresh start. And I'm using big air quotes here fresh start conversation with the kids or your partner if your emotions are still raw from the holidays. Okay. January does not need to be about fixing anything. Sometimes it just needs to be about understanding each other, understanding ourselves. So, right now, I am giving you permission to focus on 4 things instead. Okay. So, number 1, observation. What do I mean by observation? I want you to notice what's actually happening around you. What's happening inside you? What patterns keep repeating themselves in your step family life? What dynamics maybe feel off? Where do you feel most unsupported? Is it with your spouse, maybe that they're not backing you up on things that you feel really strongly about? Is it that there's a high conflict ex that you're, really having some challenges with? Maybe they're bad mouthing you to the kids. What are the areas where you feel really unsupported? Number 2, self protection. All right. Because what you need right now in January, when you're tired and exhausted from the holidays, is you need to take care of yourself. And I always preach that to my clients and the stepmoms inside the step family circle. You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Maybe that is taking a break from trying so hard, taking a little step back. Maybe it's getting some space. Maybe it is just acknowledging that you're tired. It's okay to say that out loud, right? Number 3, get some perspective. Talk to somebody else who gets it. What does that look like when you don't know other stepmoms? Join a community of other stepmoms. I've got the Step Family Circle. There are lots of them out there. Listen to this podcast, which you're doing right now. Read a book on step family dynamics. Learn that what you are experiencing is normal, okay? Watch my brand new YouTube channel, which is launching January 15th. I'm burying the lead there. I should have told you that at the front of this discussion, but you're hearing it now. I am launching a YouTube channel. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. But back to the conversation, whatever it is, find your people. Find the people who know what you're going through, okay? And last, name what's actually hard. Stop minimizing it and stop pretending that you're fine because you're not. If something's hard, say it. Even if it's just to yourself, even if it's just in a journal, I want you to name it. That takes the power away and you can reclaim the power over it if you can name it, right? And I want to say again, you don't have to fix everything in January. You just need to stop blaming yourself and stop thinking that the problem is you or your family. It is a systemic issue. Okay. So there are lots of things that aren't your fault. And I want you to stop blaming yourself for it. Stop feeling bad for not being able to take this fresh start in January. Okay. So I want to say something else here. I'm going to keep it really brief. For some women, when they finally realize that this is not a personal failure, when they finally understand that the system is broken, that it's not them, they get curious. They get curious about learning more, curious about healing their own step family dynamic. And for some, even curious about helping other stepmoms feel less alone. So if that is you, I want to let you know I am going to be teaching some free classes later this month that you're going to want to attend. So I will just ask you to stay tuned to my Instagram and yes, my brand new YouTube channel, which I am so excited about launching on January 15th. My big plans for 2026, I told you at the beginning I had done some vision boarding and planning and all of that good stuff. My big plans include offering more free resources than ever before. And that's why I'm starting the YouTube channel. You're going to get more podcasts, more videos, more free classes from me this year, but you have to follow me to know about them. So, look for me on Instagram, on YouTube at Step Family Solutions is my handle everywhere. And then just show up and learn. I'm going to put all the links in the show notes, but you can go to any of the socials and find me, join my community. If January feels heavy, please know that you are not broken. You are not late to the party. If you don't have New Year's resolutions or don't want to make a fresh start or you're just damn tired and you're not alone. You're not alone. You have a place here in my community and you don't need to start the year with a big vision board and list of goals. You just need to start with some grace for yourself. So if you found this episode helpful, would you do me a huge favor? Would you go to iTunes and review it? Give me 5 stars if you would. Share this with a stepmom who might need some permission to stop trying harder and start being supported. That way I can help reach more and more of you. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Remember that you have got this, and I will be back in your ears very soon.